Well, Mr. Price Group is a value-orientated, mostly cash, fashion and home goods retailer with a market cap of 71.9 billion rand, trades on a price-to-earnings ratio of 32.4, dividend yield here of almost 2%. Chris, let's get you to weigh in from the outset on Mr. Price.
Bronwyn, it's awfully expensive, and I don't think it's going to get markedly cheaper on any kind of time frame you can think about. This, to me, is one of the cleverest retailers we've got in the country from a variety of perspectives. One mustn't make the mistake of thinking that because it's good value in their stores, that it's cheap, with the kind of the nasty connotations that go with cheap. People go to Mr. Price as a destination store, not because it's cheap. You know, they like the fashions. The fact that it's a low price obviously helps. So I think they've done well in this economy. They've expanded very nicely into the rest of Africa. But I think what really differentiates them, in my humble opinion, this is the only clothing retailer in the whole of South Africa that's got online right. Because they understand what the consumers want, and more importantly, they know how to get the product to the consumer. So you put it all together, it's a phenomenal combination.
That online element is very important for future growth.
Yes, I agree completely. I've spoken to a few friends who shop religiously on the Mr. Price online platform, and that's because when you go to a Mr. Price, the queues are always so long. So obviously, you know, they're getting something right. You manage to skip those queues if you buy the stuff online. I also think, you know, they always got the latest fashions. Their buying has been absolutely fantastic. You walk in there, you're going to find what you're looking for, and even though it's not the best quality, you know, if that shirt doesn't last 2 years, you're not going to wear it in 2 years' time because it's already gone out of fashion. So I think they've been extremely smart with their buying, but I think that their timing's also been great in terms of price increases because, you know, essentially they were seen as quite a cheap retailer, but because they got that buying done so well, they almost started becoming slightly premium and being able to increase their prices on the back of what would have been a consumer under pressure, but they're, you know, maintaining those great margins.
Again, Chris, you can't argue with the share price performance there, and perhaps the only question is whether, as you say, it's not going to get any cheaper. How much higher can it go?
Yeah, and you know, we've agonized over this one for the past 2-3 years now, literally as long as that. Thankfully, you know, we haven't lightened this stock at all because, you know, we've gone back to the basics, the fundamentals. They really get everything right. They're right up there on a par with some of the best clothing retailers in the world, and I think they've been recognized for that. So
talk
yes,
to us about
expensive.
a cash credit element.
You're looking at about, what, 15% credit or thereabouts, and that's predominantly in places like Milady's, which is a kind of, I've always wondered why they've persevered with this one. It's a kind of, in my humble opinion, it's a rather fuddy-duddy element of Mr. Price, but they have persevered and they've kind of got it right. And there's a little bit of cash credit in the rest of it, but about 85% of it is cash, and the credit element is managed extremely well. The rejection rate has been increasing significantly in the past couple of years, so no problems on the credit side at all.
Byron, we don't own this one in the hot stocks portfolio. Potentially something to look at in this conversation?
Yeah, certainly. We have in the past. If you look at the share price there, it has chopped around a bit since January, which is quite a rare occurrence for Mr. Price. You know, that share price is, as you can see, been going upwards for a very long time. It's definitely one we can consider later on in the show. Maybe Chris can convince me. Obviously, the big question is, are we too late? You know, have we missed the boat? And can they maintain this fantastic growth off such a higher base?
Hot or not, Chris?
Hot, very hot.
It's also very hot.
Very hot.
Hot or not, Byron? He
Yeah,
could twist your arm on this
agree.
one.
I think you know, they've also got such a good mix between, you know, the sports, the home, and then the apparel side.